This is Steve and Laura. In February 2021, he was on his way from Texas to Northern California to visit his daughters. But before he could reach his destination, he was pulled over by a state trooper for driving too close to a tanker truck on the highway. At first, the trooper seemed friendly, admitting that he was actually tasked with stopping drug and weapons trafficking across the states. He asked Steven if he was carrying drugs or guns. The answer to both was no. Then the cop asked him if he was carrying a big amount of cash, and that's where things got interesting. Steven admitted that he had a large amount of cash with him, and almost immediately, the trooper asked permission to search the vehicle. Like any innocent person would, Steven agreed. Pro tip, don't ever say yes to a search. That search discovered $87,000 in cash, Steven's life savings. According to Steven, he didn't like the banks. He even had proof that he withdrew the money from his own bank accounts. But that still wasn't enough. To the trooper and the DEA agent he called a little later, it was clear. Steven's money was obviously associated with drugs. How could it not be? And because the cash was connected to drugs, the cops had the right to seize it. And the thing is, all of this was legal. Steven wasn't arrested or charged with a crime, no drugs were found in his car, but as long as cops suspect that your property, like a pile of cash, was involved with a crime, they can take it, no questions asked.
I just wanted to tell you, Officer Brown, you're taking money out of my kids' mouths.
Sorry.
Or you're taking food out of my kids' mouths.
Like I said, we believe right now that this is drug proceeds, illicit currency.
Well, I'm going to prove to you that it's not.
Perfect.
Thanks to some neat laws called civil asset forfeiture. This is Nasir Geiger. He stopped to say hi to a friend at a McDonald's in Philadelphia. Little did he know, his friend had just been arrested for drug possession. Minutes after driving away from the McDonald's, he was pulled over by the cops. His car was searched, and even though no drugs were found, his car and the $580 in his car were taken. Why? Because the cops had found empty Ziploc bags. No drug residue, no drugs, just plain old empty Ziploc bags. So they took the entire car and the cash. In exchange, Nasir got a receipt for $465. In the end, Nasir had to take a plea deal, pay a $200 fine, and commit to 20 hours of community service. He was never charged, he didn't even have any drugs on him. And yet, if he wanted his car back, he would have to pay $1,800 in storage fees, money he didn't have. Surprise, surprise, he never got his car or his money back. Instead, his car was likely sold at a police auction where 80% of that money went right back to the same police department that arrested him. Then there's Mandrell Stewart. He was on a date with his girlfriend when police stopped him, took him to a nearby police station, and took his $17,000 in cash. Money he was supposed to use to buy supplies and equipment for the restaurant he worked at. Every single day, cops steal money, cars, and even houses without charging people with a single crime, all because that property is suspected of being involved in a crime. That is all it takes for cops to take your stuff. Between the year 2000 and 2020, cops have seized at least $68 billion in property from people just like you. That is more than 2 times the size of the economy of North Korea. And most of the time, the people who got their property stolen by cops never get it back. Instead, your stolen money is used to fund police salaries, equipment, and margarita machines. This is not a joke. Civil asset forfeiture is a great racket. It is the closest thing to legal robbery as it gets. And as an ambitious cop from an underfunded precinct, this is how you take advantage of it. If you're watching this channel, you're probably ambitious and want the most out of life. And part of that pursuit requires leaving a good first impression. And part of making a good first impression is having a full head of healthy hair. The only problem is, 2 out of every 3 guys experience significant hair loss by the time they're 35. And according to my YouTube analytics, that's creeping up real quick for a good chunk of you. And the longer you wait, the more hair you are never gonna get back. But lucky for you, that's where Keeps comes in. Keeps is a one-of-a-kind online subscription service that gives you affordable access to FDA-approved hair loss treatments right to your doorstep. Here's how it works. You head to the link below, then you choose the plan that best fits your hair situation. A licensed doctor will get in touch online to make sure you're getting everything you need and nothing you don't, and then you set it and forget it. Every 3 months, Keeps will ship a tailor-made hair care package right to your doorstep ready to use. And then you start using it while tracking your progress online, and you get instant access to your doctor thanks to online doctor messaging. And all of this is available at up to half the price at what you would pay at a pharmacy because they use generic versions of FDA-approved hair loss medications. Everyone is different, but most people start seeing results with Keeps in just 4 to 6 months, so it's important to act fast. The sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you can save. hair loss stops with Keeps. If you're ready to take action and save your hair, go to keeps.com/JakeTran with the link below to receive 50% off your first order. That's keeps.com/JakeTran or click the link below. Thanks to Keeps for sponsoring this video. Every civil asset forfeiture is a good score. You are making money, whether it's $50 or $50,000. But for an ambitious cop like yourself, $50 is just not gonna cut it. You're in it for the big money. And the best way to do this? By stopping people you think are associated with drugs. They don't have to be guilty. You don't even have to find any drugs on them. As long as your target looks like he has money and is acting even a little suspicious, it is your duty as a law-abiding officer to stop and search his property. So keep an eye out for gold chains, gold grills, tattoos on their faces, that kind of thing. And if you're really looking to score, keep your eye on well-known drug dealers in your city. But you don't want to stop them on their way into the city because that's when they have the drugs. You don't get anything for confiscating drugs. Confiscated drugs get destroyed, so you won't see a cent. Instead, wait until after the deals are done and the drugs are sold. Let the drugs go out on the streets so that your target has a ton of cash on them, and then hit them on their way back. Confiscated drugs get destroyed, but confiscated cash goes right into your precinct slush fund, ready for you to spend. And if you can't find any known drug dealers around, just target anyone who looks like they could have some cash, who you could vaguely connect to a crime or criminal. The mother of a guy you just caught selling weed on the side of the road? Why not seize her house if he was near it? After all, it is reasonable to suspect that there's more evidence in that house. A car driving too slow on the freeway? Suspicious behavior, they could be smuggling stuff. Pull them over and take them for everything they've got. The list of targets is endless, and once you've found some property right for the taking, it's time to search and seize. Here's how to seize anything you want from whoever you want. First, you want to stop them and ask some friendly questions. Some of the best places to stop and search people are at traffic stops, in airports, or even just by knocking on the door of their house. At first, make it seem like you're the good guy. Make some jokes, build up a little rapport. Then you want to ask them if they're carrying any guns or drugs. Don't ask about the money yet. Once they deny having either of those things, they're more likely to admit they have a lot of cash on them. Carrying cash is completely legal, so admitting you have a lot of it isn't a big deal, right? Well, surprise, surprise. As soon as they admit to having cash, change your tune completely.
Move, spread them out. Don't move!
And if they don't admit to having a lot of cash, ask if they're willing to be searched. Most naive people would say yes to the search, even though you should never say yes to a search unless they have a warrant. Even if they know they can say no to a search, in most people's minds, they're thinking, it would be suspicious if I didn't say yes to the search. I have nothing to hide. Rookie mistake. This is why you need to be friendly. The poor sucker would think, this officer's just doing his job, he's protecting the community. Let me help make his life easier. So they submit to the search and you search them. Once you find what you're looking for, it's time to play bad cop. This is where you suddenly connect the dots between their property and your made-up crime. You're carrying $20,000 in cash? Well, we see this every day with drug dealers, so we're gonna have to seize it just to be safe. There's a packet of elastic bands on the back seat. Drug dealers use those to sort their cash, so we're gonna have to seize your car. And if they don't want to hand over their property, threaten to arrest them. And then reassure them that if they're innocent, they're obviously gonna get their stuff back. So what's the harm in letting you take it for now, as a precautionary measure? Only a guilty person wouldn't cooperate with the cops. Play every manipulative argument in the book. And once you finally seize their cash, car, or house, direct them to civil forfeiture courts, where it's now their job to prove their property's innocence.
Let us search warrant. Unlock the door, please, man. Right down. Get down.
Here's the thing about getting your money or property back after it's been taken. It's not the owner of the property being charged, it's the property itself. I'm serious. Forfeiture cases have names like Nebraska versus one 1970 two-door sedan Rambler, or the United States of America versus $25,180 in United States currency. The feds aren't accusing a person of a crime, they're accusing inanimate objects. And unlike humans, property doesn't get the same legal protections. It's not innocent until proven guilty, it's guilty until proven innocent. The owner of the property has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that whatever the cop sees was in fact innocent. If a cop takes someone's cash, they need to prove it's not from criminal proceeds. If the cop seizes your car, you'll have to find a way to prove it wasn't associated with a crime. Knowing this makes your life as a property seizing cop just that much easier. Because once a court date is set to hear why the property you seized is innocent, that's when the real fun begins. If you're smart, you'll steal from actual criminals or poor people who can't afford the time, the lawyers, or the legal fees to fight back. Civil forfeiture cases can last months, if not years. Property owners have to come to court over and over again, each time bringing newly requested evidence or filing in new forms, and even if they miss just one court date, they could lose by default. Eventually, the process becomes so expensive or time-consuming that most people just give up. If you seized a car that cost $3,000, no one is going to spend $5,000 trying to get it back. So in the end, most of the property you seize, whether involved in the crime or not, will never be returned to its owners. The perfect legal racket. And the best part? There is nothing those property owners can do about it. And now comes the fun part. This is where you sell off all the cars, houses, watches, jewelry, or whatever you seize at a police auction. According to the Federal Equitable Sharing Program, your police department gets to keep 80% of the money made from selling whatever they seized. Between 2000 and 2019, that amounted to over $8 billion in payouts to state or local agencies. Who said it's only crime that pays? With all that cash flowing into your department, the possibilities are endless. Sure, you could use the money to pay for officer salaries or buy new equipment. The Missouri Highway Patrol spent over $2 million in 4 years just buying new cars. But that's not all. Like Sheriff Bill Smith from Georgia, you could use that money to buy a boat, a $90,000 Dodge Viper, or to pay inmates to build you a party house. Unfortunately, this is not a joke, he really did that. The Civil Asset Forfeiture Program was originally designed to discourage crime by reminding people crime doesn't pay, that the proceeds of a crime will be taken away. In the words of one DA, we should not let drug dealers or anyone involved in any kind of financial scam or Ponzi scheme reap the benefits of their illegal actions. It's a punishment. I don't want drug dealers benefiting from poisoning children and then keeping the money. The system started with good intentions, but today, it's just another reminder that a job in law enforcement can still be a very lucrative career. Just ask Sheriff Bill.